Welcome all. In this video, I am going to discuss the course related to programming in C. The subtopic here is structure of C program. Now we will be going to understand how the structure of C program represents. The structure of C program includes several sections, namely documentation, link section, definition section, global declaration section, main function, subprogram section. So each and every section has its own importance. Now we are going to understand about each and every section in more detail. Here the sections are represented, few are represented as suggested and few are represented as optional and few are represented as essential part. So each and every section must be represented as per the necessity of the user in providing the instructions with the help of programming language using C. So suggested section is documentation section where we will be discussing about why we are writing the program so that easily it is understood by users regarding the program content. Next one is essential part, that is link section, where we'll be linking several types of predefined functions using a single statement in the link section. The next one is optional definition section. So here we are going to define, if necessary, for any program related to the contents represented in the program. The next one is global declaration section and function declaration section. Here, if needed, then programmers will represent global variables and also the functions that are need to be completed with a particular task. So it's optional. The next one is essential part of the C program, that is main function section. In this section, we'll be representing the main function where the actual execution of C program takes place. And last section is subprogram section, which is optional. Depending upon the programs, if multiple tasks are to be executed, then each and every task can be defined with the help of a function. So it can be represented with function definitions like function 1, function 2, so on. Function n. So n number of functions we can define in subprogram section. So this is the overview of description of sections. So here we need to remember that the essential part must be represented in any type of C program, that is link section and also main function section. These two are essential parts of C program, whereas the remaining, which are represented as optional, that is definition section, global declaration section, function declaration section and subprogram section, these are all optional sections where it is not mandatory to represent those sections in each and every program. As per the necessity of the user, we can represent these statements in the specified sections. And suggested is documentation section where we can represent the date and time and what is the purpose of defining the instructions in this particular program so that anyone can easily understand the documentation related to the coding of C program. So now we are going to discuss with the help of an example the structure of C program. Here the example of C program is represented with the sections. The first section is related to the documentation section, which is optional. So here we didn't specify any type of documentation related to the program, because the program is only the structure. It is not the basic example for C program. It is only example for structure of C program. The next comes link section, what we have discussed previously. So in link section, we are going to define the preprocessor directives along with header files. So the preprocessor directives are represented with hash include, and the header files are represented with .h extension for the file. So there are two header files included in this particular structure of C program. Those are stdio.h and conio.h. Stdio represents standard input and output, whereas conio represents console input and output functions. It means the standard input output functions are defined in stdio.h header file predefinedly so that we can directly use them. It means it represents as library where several functions are being represented. So we'll be accessing those functions with the help of a single statement included with the help of preprocessor directive, that is hash include stdio.h. stdio.h must be represented within the angular brackets only. It means it is the predefined header file which we are including so that all the functions that are being defined in that header file, we can easily process them. The next comes conio.h. It is console input and output header file where we'll be going with the representation of functions which deal with console applications. So we'll be going to discuss in detail with the help of a program. After this video, I'll be posting another video where we will be easily understanding what happens when we are including stdio.h practically and also conio.h practically. So next comes definition or declaration section, which we already discussed that it is optional. If we want, we can represent. But the essential part what we have discussed is program main function, which is entry point for any type of programming language. Here the programming language is C. So the execution of C program starts with main function only. Suppose here we are representing main function return type as int. Whenever before main function we are representing int as return type, then before ending of the main function we need to represent return statement, because int represents integer return type. It means it should return either 0 or 1 or some value. So here just for the representation of the structure of main function, the block of main function is represented with curly open brace and curly closed brace. So the braces whatever we are indicating here, that represents that main function, whatever the statements we need to execute, we need to represent within these blocks only. So within this block we'll be defining the body of the main function. So that's the reason the square brackets are represented as optional. And next one is function definition section. It is also optional for being this particular program structure is being defined only to know or to understand the previous and next topic, that is description of sections what we have discussed in this video, and related to description we are going with a structure of C program with an example which represents only structure of it. Now we are not going to discuss here related to the data that is being represented practically. Here this is only theoretical part where you can go with structure of C program with all the different sections, and then you can go with example of C program which is representing only structure but not the actual program which will be doing in practical. This is only theoretical part which we need to represent during the exams. Whenever structure of C program is asked, you can go with the description of the sections. Before that you can mention all these sections, then you will be going to describe the sections, then with the help of a structure you can explain here. And the next one is related to the different statements, how we represent each and every statement that is represented in any programming language like C ends with a semicolon. You need to represent with semicolon every statement which we are ending in block of statements. So in this particular structure of C program example, we are representing the statement return 0. So for return 0, we are ending with a semicolon at the end. Why? Because the main function should return the value whatever is specified before the main function as return type. So it is taken as int. Int means integer return type. So we need to return the value, some integer value like 0 or 1. For that reason we are representing in this way. Suppose if we want to go with void as return type, then before main function if we are representing void, then we need not write or mention return statement. Why? Because void indicates it returns nothing. For that reason we are going to end that particular block without returning the statement before ending of the main function. So in this way we can go with the compiler. As per the compiler we can go with return type of main function as int or void or any type of return value. If at all we are returning other than void any return type before main function, then you need to remember that that particular main function should end with a return statement before ending of the main function block, that is curly brace that is being closed after body of the main function, return statement and closing brace. So here you need to remember, if you are writing return type as void before main function, then there is no need to represent return 0 before ending of the main function. I hope you understood the structure of C program theoretically in this video, and hope it is useful to you. If at all you are having any doubts, you can post in your the comment box so that I can respond to your doubts. Thank you one and all.